In Giza, on the outskirts of Cairo, the ancient Egyptians built what the rest of the world still considers to be the emblem of the city, the pyramids. These vast tombs were built during the Old Kingdom over 4,500 years ago. They are real architectural feats. The Pyramid of Cheops is 147 meters high. It is the highest in Egypt and the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world to have withstood the test of time. The Pyramid of Khafre is almost as high. The first foreigner to visit the pyramids and to describe them was Greek. He is known as the father of history. That was Herodotus in 430 BC.
The word pyramid, now used to describe these monuments, comes from the Greek word pyramis. The Greeks used to make cakes called pyramis. When they came to Egypt, they found colossal stone structures in the shape of their cakes. So they gave them the same name, and the pyramid shape is itself sacred because it mimics the sun's rays, which cover the earth in the form of a pyramid. That's why the king, who is considered to be the incarnation of the sun on earth, wanted to be buried inside this sacred shape. The right to be buried in a pyramid was reserved for pharaohs and their wives. Even princes and princesses didn't have that right. However wealthy they were still buried in what we now call mastabas.
In Giza, the guardian of the pyramids is just as famous as its protégés. The Sphinx has watched over these royal graves for over 2,500 years. This lion with a human head is 74 meters long and 20 meters high. It's a pretty dissuasive protector.
We are standing between the paws of this famous Sphinx, whose facial features are those of Khafre, who built the second pyramid. This pink granite stele between the Sphinx's paws commemorates a dream Thutmose IV had in the 16th century BC. The Sphinx is embedded in the sand, and Thutmose was chasing desert animals. He fell asleep in the shade of the Sphinx's head and dreamed that the sun god had appeared to him and spoken to him, saying, "If you get me out of the sand, I promise you the throne." He woke up and told the story to the priest who believed him and started digging the Sphinx out of the sand. That's proof that the Sphinx was continually being embedded in sand and then dug out again. It was also dug out in the time of the Greeks and the time of the Romans. And when Christianity became the official religion of Egypt, this site, like any other site, became a pagan site and was completely neglected, so the Sphinx was buried in the sand again, and that's what protected it. The Copts were the first to start mutilating the Sphinx's face, and then the Arabs followed suit. There is a legend or a story which says that during the Mamluk dynasty, Saim al-Dar thought the Sphinx was a pagan statue. He came and mutilated the Sphinx's face and broke its nose. It wasn't Obelix who broke it.
Today, the Sphinx is still the world's biggest sculpture to be carved from a single block of stone. But building the pyramids required millions of blocks of stone. Some came directly from the Giza plateau, whereas others came from a quarry that is still visible today. About 10 kilometers from the pyramids, on the outskirts of Cairo, the Makatam Hills still bear the scars of being used as quarries by the pharaohs. Some stones came from much further away, thanks to a natural transport link, the Nile. 700 kilometers south of Cairo, the city of Luxor, formerly known as Thebes in the days of the pharaohs, is also home to a gigantic monument. Karnak temple, like the pyramids, took an impressive number of stones to build. It is the largest religious complex from antiquity and covers a surface area of 2 square kilometers. Working alongside their Egyptian counterparts, a team of French archaeologists are reconstructing parts of the temple under the direction of stonecutter and restorer Antoine Garrick.
The statue of Tutankhamun has been here for about 3,500 years and has seen better days. It is cracked, we don't know why, and it is missing certain elements. No doubt after being toppled or looted, but what remains is incredibly good condition. The missing piece of nose was found nearby 10 years ago during a dig and was stuck back on again. Soon we're going to take the statue down to replace the missing parts that have been patched up with cement. That was done in 1912, I think. They used what they had at their disposal at the time. It's a prominent statue of a famous king in the middle of Karnak Temple. So it's an interesting project, and it's important for the history of the site and for Egyptians that this statue is exhibited in the best condition possible.
In Egypt, there have been so many archaeological discoveries that stonecutters have several generations' worth of work ahead of them. But some of the buildings that seem to be complete at first sight are actually very incomplete. The 3 big pyramids are a good example. None of them has retained their peak.
This is the pyramidion, which is meant to go on top of the pyramid. This block of stone is original. It was found buried in the sand during a dig, and it is the tip of the pyramid. On the pyramid of Khafre, you can see a substantial part of the cladding. It has lost its tip, but you can still imagine what these pyramids looked like when they were complete. They must have been beautiful and impressive.
Nowadays, it's hard to imagine the initial impact of the Great Pyramids. They must have been majestic, clad in sparkling white and perfectly smooth. But for the past 4,500 years, they have lost some of their splendor, like most monuments from the pharaonic era. Jean-François Champollion, the great French Egyptologist, came to Egypt in around 1830. It is estimated that 70% of what he saw and described at the time has now completely disappeared. The reasons are multiple: erosion, earthquakes, the Nile floods, and especially human intervention.
For years, the pyramid was used as a quarry, and that's unfortunately how it lost its cladding. The cladding disappeared, along with a large part of the base. Muhammad Ali, king of Egypt in the 19th century, was very proud of himself for having built a dam north of Cairo using the cladding from these pyramids.
Successive generations have come and helped themselves to these pharaonic monuments. Even in ancient times, some pharaohs reused the monuments of their predecessors. Then the Greeks, Romans, and Christians also got their stone supplies from these ancient relics. Egyptians